What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Three Man Weave. I'm your host, Jesse Kass, and I'm once again joined by my good friends Nican Robinson and Omar Spahi. You guys, thanks for coming back on the show.
You already know.
All right, cheers. Free agency, it's pretty much wrapped up. Cheers, of course. Wow, what a free agency it was. We went in talking about it 2 months ago. We took off last month just to kind of let everything settle, and we're here. Wow, what a free agency period. It was 90% of it was done before July 1st anyway, but Kawhi watch went into July 5th, so we had a lot that went down and a lot that we talked about. So let's get right into it. Just recapping, what were some of your predictions before we go into what actually happened?
Everything was wrong for me.
Everything was wrong. Everything was wrong.
Everything you thought that was going to be possible was not possible. I thought Durant was going to stay. I thought...
Right.
Yep.
And I thought that it was like, everything was just absolutely not that. I was like, everything we thought was going to happen. I thought Kawhi was going to stay. I thought, like, these were the smart basketball decisions. But the basketball gods, being the actual players, decided that that's not the way it was
happening. I thought Kawhi was going to stay, but I had also said, if he does leave, I want him to go to the Clippers. Still doesn't count. I was wrong. And then he did end up with the Clippers. So
he did. I was wrong about a lot. I think we all were pretty on with Kyrie going to the Nets, but yes. I don't know if any of us picked Durant to go there, which
not at all.
Obviously is what happened. But
not at all.
Yeah, I had Durant going to the Knicks, mainly because every media member alive said it was happening, and then made Knicks fans feel ridiculous for thinking that. But yeah, he went to Brooklyn with Kyrie. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah.
I mean, he did not even take a meeting, no tour of the building. He didn't step off the escalator right in front of Bart. Nothing.
Yeah, he announced it before he even met with them.
Right.
That's crazy though. The players have that much power to like be like, oh, I'm gonna go where I'm gonna go, and you don't have a sense to tell me whether or not I.
Well, when you're Kevin Durant, I don't know if
you just.
If Milos Teodosic has that power.
he just steps in. I mean, to me that is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But also absolutely ridiculous. And I'm also excited. Being a Warriors fan, I got my Warriors socks on. Being a Warriors fan, I'm not necessarily hurt. Okay, we'll still do well. We'll still do fine. Will we be able to just run through teams? Probably not this year. You know, with Klay Thompson out with his ACL injury and recovering, so on and so forth. Getting used to Russell and just But I'm happy for him. He came. He gave us a couple championships. He helped us win and establish something. And go to the Chase Center and keep it moving.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really be mad if you're a Warriors fan. You got the titles. 2 of them could have been 3 without maybe this injury barrage, but obviously. Big time for Brooklyn. What did you think for them? You mentioned the Russell thing already, but he's their homegrown guy, or they got him when he was really young. The Lakers kind of built him up into what he was. Granted, Irving and Durant are kind of a package deal, so you need to do that, but the thought of replacing Russell with Kyrie and going that route.
It's an upgrade. It's an upgrade game-wise, playing-wise, it's an upgrade. We'll see what happens if he develops into a leader. Because that's the one thing that he was lacking in Boston, which, by the way, Kemba Walker in Boston is going to be awesome with Jaylen Brown and Tatum. Oh, my gosh, I'm excited for that. But, he was not able to show that he was a leader.
He was trying to be. He seemed like he called LeBron up and was like, man, I'm sorry for giving you such a hard time because...
I mean, he was trying to be, but his teammates hated his guts. So
Rozier is out. Because of that and because of the whole debacle. I mean, they were supposed to improve upon what the success was.
Yeah, they were in the year before they came into playoffs and they were like, oh, we're with a full healthy team next year, we're going to be a force, and then we're going to be the favorite to win. And then out of nowhere, they just crumbled. They went the other way. It was really sad to see. But with Kemba, I feel like they're going to be good. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be so awesome.
It'll be interesting with Brooklyn too, because of course with Durant's injury, he's going to be out. If not the whole year, most of the year.
So whole year for him, for sure.
How much does that put on Kyrie's shoulders, and is that a good thing for Brooklyn that he has to be their leader essentially on the court?
No,
not a good thing.
Yeah, I mean you can't knock a world class talent like Durant, like potentially the best player on the planet right now. Without him, they are not going to be better. Like if you had him as a 1-2 punch, like the league used to be all about big threes and creating these super teams, but now it's kind of evolved into the situation where it's two people per
Dynamic
team.
duos.
Crazy.
Yeah,
We're doing NBA Jam.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to hip in Michael Jordan days back. Like that's Kobe, Shaq. Like you think of so many epic dynamic duos, and this is one of the times it's like, every team feels like they have a dynamic duo with Brooklyn with Kyrie and Durant, Lakers with LeBron and AD, like Clippers with Kawhi and Paul George, Houston, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. Like you name it. I felt like you even go Portland. You can be twos. Like,
twos and twos. Irving. This will help Irving. Kind of take the bad taste out of everyone's mouth from the Boston days, because if he can push them to succeed and at least get past the first round in the playoffs, that gives him some validity to showing that he is a leader. That's the one thing I don't
think getting you to out of first round of the playoffs gets you there. I think you have to get to the finals.
I'm gonna give him first round in Brooklyn with no Durant.
Oh, with no Durant, that's a different.
I was gonna say this year with no Durant.
For sure.
I think
if you make playoffs and with no Durant, you're okay.
Yeah, I think this year with no Durant, they'll be maybe slightly better, but similar to what we saw last year with 6 seed. Push a fight in the first round, like you said. But I don't know about much more than that without Durant there. When he gets there, then they're obviously a whole different animal.
It's gonna be beastly.
Who are your guys' favorites this year to win it all, and like coming out of the West, coming out of the East?
I mean, I guess that's the great thing, right? That there's no prohibitive favorite. There's a lot of teams that can stake that claim.
Right.
I think we talked before the show about how stacked the Western Conference is.
It's deadly.
So just getting through that gauntlet, depending on whatever matchup you get, could prove who the actual favorite is. But right now, I think in the West, it's a toss-up. I think the two LA teams are right there, and I think. Houston with if Westbrook and Harden can work well together, those would be my three. But then as I said, it's so stacked you can't throw away what Denver did last year, what Portland did last year,
what Utah did,
and what they added with Mike Conley. So
that's going to be so huge, because now you've got Donovan Mitchell has a point guard that can run the show and actually put him in position to play and pick and choose his spots. His game is going to be elevated. I'm excited for that duo. Aside from seeing how much trouble McCollum and Dame Lillard pose for these, opposing teams, like I'm excited to see Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley Mike Conley's finally getting a chance to jump back in the mix.
I respectfully disagree with both of you guys.
Woo!
I think that it is time for the Clippers to come to the NBA Finals, and I'll tell you why. In my opinion, you look at Portland just can't seem to get a win in the playoffs. Denver's great, but they lost to Portland. They don't have the winning mentality. The Warriors are injured, and the Lakers, LeBron's getting up there in age, and Anthony Davis, we don't know how he fits. The thing to me that sets the Clippers apart, besides Paul George and Kawhi, is the core they had before that, and they had a winning mentality before that, and you add those two great pieces in there, and I think that takes them to the NBA Finals.
I mean, I didn't want to get there. I would also bet. I would say the Clippers are the team I would choose as well. But let's take it there right now, since we didn't really cover the free agency yet. Kawhi, after what seemed like a long wait, it was really only 4 days, but in today's NBA world, it felt like forever. We think back to LeBron. He announced his decision to Miami on July 10th.
Yeah.
This was July 5th, and we were losing our minds, so it's a different world now. But Kawhi, basically everyone else signed off the board. He had 3 teams waiting in Toronto and the Lakers and the Clippers, of course. What did you think about just the whole Kawhi watch and how everything played out with him and the Clippers?
I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Petty. And I love the pettiness of it. This probably wasn't what he was going for, but I just love how petty all of this has become.
I think it was calculated
making
the Lakers hold on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Calling meetings to ask what really happened with your uncle sitting next to you and, what happened, what really happened, okay, maybe just wait till... Petty. And I think this is great for the NBA. Just personally, I think this is absolutely great for the NBA, because now what you have is you have the Lakers passing up on Tyronn Lue, and you have the Clippers signing him. It just adds to the level of petty. And I think that he had all along the mindset to go to the Clippers. I also am very, very interested in what happened with the Raptors not getting Russell Westbrook to come, because apparently Russell Westbrook and Paul George, before Siakam was an option.
Yeah, I don't know how serious Ujiri took that offer, just because I think they like Siakam a lot. And
He wasn't serious. He was like,
and I think we've talked about with certain players, and Westbrook's clearly still a top level talent, but just like Chris Paul with the Rockets, Westbrook, John Wall, those guys that are getting up there in age and have the just signed the extension where he's getting $40 million, 42, 45 in the next year. So for the Raptors, who likely they won their title, they have everyone coming off the books after this year.
Yeah.
They probably just wanted to kind of restart and refresh with Van Vliet and Siakam, and then a totally empty canvas with them.
I'm just kind of disappointed that they didn't want to run it back. I'm just, but once again, that's just, saying that I don't think that Kawhi Leonard he was not coming back. He wasn't coming back because that wasn't a serious offer. That wasn't something that they were willing to do.
Yeah.
He was totally coming to the Clippers.
He wanted to come home back to LA, and he clearly wanted the Clippers as his choice, and he really pulled the strings behind the scenes by getting Paul George to ask for a trade and having the Clippers make that happen for him.
What kind of relationship do they have? Like, were they known to be like great friends, or because Paul George is from LA too, that they were both like LA? Like, what was the relationship? Because I feel like I don't know enough about that relationship.
I think he just reached out to him.
Yeah,
Like, hey, let's do this.
I think from at least the reporting that we've heard in various outlets, Kawhi called Kevin Durant a few days before free agency, and Durant was apparently shocked by that, and he almost, he was thrown off by that, and it almost redirected what he wanted to do.
Which would have been wild.
Yeah. But then, he basically was kind of looking at players in the league, and he said, I really want to play with this guy. And he reached out to him, and obviously was seeing with what Kawhi did this past year, who wouldn't want to play with someone like that?
Just saying. And I think Kawhi Leonard is so silent because what he does is he sits in like a little bat cave somewhere, and he just has a map of players, and he's like, like he doesn't actually say yes. He doesn't
He's
actually.
like that movie Moneyball.
It's just like the handshake with him and Norman Powell, just like the point. Like,
that's all it is. And he just, the claw just does this. And doesn't say anything, and so you go out and you act upon what he's pointing at. Like he's a mastermind. He's a silent mastermind. Even the way he got out of being in San Antonio, he's a silent mastermind.
Yeah.
And I'm actually happy that he's back in his hometown or in his home area and with the Clippers. Like, this is gonna be fun. Petty, I love it.
But it's interesting. How much does that hurt the other teams that are waiting for him? You have other teams that are. I'm not saying that. It's just an interesting situation that like everyone else is holding out for these players and they're not making their moves based on that. Like, are you just like, oh, these players will be there? What if you could have gotten someone better because you held off for these 5 days when everything else was happening 5 days earlier?
Yeah, I mean, obviously for Toronto you need to wait because that's your Finals MVP. That's your main target, so that's where you're going after. You have no real other money to spend anywhere else, and for the Lakers, you have to wait as well, because if you did choose to sign with them, then you have the next amazing big three. So it's something that's worth the risk, and I do think to their credit, they did a decent job filling out the rest of the roster. Granted, they lost out on a lot of other role players. The Knicks signed 10 of them themselves. But yeah, I mean, getting Danny Green, they overpaid, but they got a good D and 3-and-D type of guy,
which they needed.
The Cousins signing looked good on the cheap, but he obviously got hurt again. Contavious Caldwell-Pope bringing him back is questionable, but they bring back some guys in McGee and Rondo who played pretty well for them last year. A couple of flyers. Avery Bradley, he was terrible with the Clippers last year, but maybe he'll bounce back. So, I think they did a decent job in putting pieces around LeBron and AD.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree. I feel like you don't need much with those guys. You really just need, as far as I'm concerned, Danny Green.
Yeah, and Jared Dudley, who is a similar type of player.
Solid. You know what you're getting. He's productive. It'll work. The Clippers are still because not only are they offensive powerhouses, they are now a defensive powerhouse.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be so much fun to watch them. And then with Doc Rivers at the helm.
Yeah, I think just the versatility that they have with their depth and how many different combinations they can throw out. Like you said, lockdown defensive lineups, explosive offensive lineups. You can go super long with Kawhi, Paul George, Jermichael Green, and Harkless and Zubac. So you can go small with Lou Williams and Beverly, and obviously Montrezl Harrell is a beast off the bench. So they go about 10, 11 deep, and then along with those two great superstars.
They have 4 6-man candidates last year. It felt like there was
Lou Williams is still there.
Lou
Oh
is
my
still
God!
there.
Which I just don't get how you don't. Someone couldn't pluck him. Like, you know, I'm not pulling off a Paul George deal with anybody if you're not giving up Lou Williams. I'm sorry. How do you get to keep Lou Williams? I forgot about that. How do you get to keep Lou Williams?
Well, the Thunder got the biggest draft pick haul in league history, so.
Sure, and give me Lou Williams.
You know, it's interesting.
And they got Shea, who's solid.
And give me Lou Williams. You do not leave Lou Williams on the table. I'm sorry, but that is just...
Well, the Clippers were the initial team that plucked Lou Williams, and they obviously want to keep him, so.
That's right.
To their credit.
And they should.
Yeah.
Cheers to you.
Lou Will.
Good Lord, man. Stupidest thing I think I've ever.
So now, another crunch time score to go along with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard.
So ridiculous. I'm excited for the Celtics. Just want to say, I'm excited for the Celtics. I'm excited to see Jason Tatum in his leg sleeve now of tattoos. I'm excited to see how he's worked on his game over the summer. I'm excited to see how explosive and re-energized the Kemba Walker's going to be. I'm excited to see the growth of Jaylen Brown. Them losing Al Horford is huge, but Kanter's there. I'm a fan of Kanter.
Yeah, me too.
You know, he knows what his role is, what his position is, and he does it.
Yeah.
He's a 10-10 guy.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
10-5-2 probably. Get it done.
No, I think Kanter, especially in the regular season, is a really solid guy. When you get to the playoffs and the defensive matchups, it can be an issue, but you got to play the 82 games first. So Kanter will play through any injury, and he'll play hard. So
so I have a big question for you guys.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be Bucks coming out of the East. Okay. Do you think that Chris Middleton is the second part of that Giannis dynamic duo?
Yeah.
Is he like that other dynamic duo that doesn't really like? I don't know if he's at that level of superstardom yet.
I mean, I don't know if he is either, but we talked about it a little bit when we were doing the free agency preview. The Bucks had no choice but to re-sign him. They were over the cap. If they didn't, they would be a substantially worse team. So they needed him, and whether they end up trading something down the line, that's to be seen. But Giannis is so good that the second guy doesn't need to be that amazing. I mean, Middleton's a very good player. I don't think he's as good as these other side piece stars that we see, but. But yeah, I think the Bucks again. Granted, the season's long. We'll see. A move can always be made. I think right now it's a 2-horse race with the Bucks and the Sixers, and then if the Celtics make one more move, then they'll be right there. But I think it's those two teams.
I totally want them to. I mean, Middleton is a silent sniper. That's his job. That's what he's going to do. Point blank. Period.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like. Philadelphia, they got better, but they also lost to me one of their best weapons in JJ Redick. They Ben Simmons doesn't shoot threes. Like Joel Embiid is not the guy you want shooting your threes.
I've seen Ben Simmons practice a couple threes on YouTube. That's it.
I know. Nican, I've seen it too, but I can't take any of these summer videos seriously. I mean, there's a lot of mellow disrespect out there, and I don't want to jump in on that. But if summer videos were everything, then Melo would be the MVP. That's probably not the case. So
Melo or LaMelo? Which are we?
Either one. 1 and 2 in the MVP.
Just trying to clarify.
Does LaMelo Ball make the NBA?
They'll give him a shot.
I think so. I mean, he should be at the top of people's draft list. He's long. He can shoot. He can pass. It's just
he can't defend or won't right now.
Yeah. But you think he is a top lottery pick in the NBA? Like, is he a top 10? Does he crack the top 10?
I think so. I think he will.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see how
this year coming up. Right?
We'll see how he plays. He's overseas this year instead of going to college. But he keeps growing. He's like 6'8" point guard who can.
Is he really that tall?
Super long.
Since when?
Yeah,
he keeps growing.
Jesus.
He could be 7'4" by the time this episode is done. You never know.
With little bitty feet.
Okay, LaMelo, Kwame Brown Part 2. Let's go. Play center.
If he would have a jump shot and not whatever the heck he throws up in the air, I feel like he'd be even better. But good Lord, because I don't know how he's going to get that shot off in the league. I don't know how he's going to guard anybody in the league. I don't know how he's going to guard anybody overseas in whatever league he's playing in this upcoming year. So, and his feet are small.
Just that extra side.
Just that extra side note. But I mean, he totally has talent. Yeah, top 10 for sure. If not just for the hype.
Would you draft him with LeVar?
With LeVar?
What do you mean? Are you signing LeVar?
You get LeVar.
You get LeVar.
You get LeVar. It's not like it's not a package deal. His dad is an outspoken media figure who is outlandish, and it's very distracting. It's like a Tim Tebow effect.
Lonzo Ball is not with the Lakers anymore.
I was going to say it's going to tone down outside of LA.
I'll take props.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
There's
fine.
not the media outlet in New Orleans that there is in LA. So as long as he's not getting drafted to the Lakers, then I think, or the Knicks, then it'll be fine.
Oh, Knicks.
Yeah.
But you have them coming in potentially 8th
Potentially.
playoff run.
I think so. I agreed with Omar. They could finish 15th in the East, but I also think they could finish 8th. I do think that with what they put together, it's a group of scrappy, solid veteran players mixed in with a lot of young guys. So how that works, who gets the minutes, that's going to determine that. But Marcus Morris, good solid player. Julius Randle, a young up-and-coming player.
Right.
You got Bobby Portis, Taj Gibson, Albert Payton, Dennis Smith, all the young guys. I think that...
Lots of forwards.
Yeah, lots of forwards, but...
Very Minnesota-esque.
But they also, even say if they get out to a bad start, they signed all the valuable Wayne Ellington, Reggie Bullock. These are guys they can now trade for assets in the future. So I don't think it was a terrible rebound from not getting the star players that they missed out on.
I'm going to agree with that. I'm going to say something that might be controversial. It's definitely going to be controversial, if you have to preface it with controversy. This team reminds me in spirit of any tough, hard-nosed, early 90s, late 80s Knicks team. Less the talent, because that's not what this is about, but just a bunch of hard-nosed guys that are going to play their roles, whatever roles those are. They will negotiate them with each other, and they'll go out there and compete every single night. You're not going to be able to say that they did not compete every single night.
But the difference is they had Patrick Ewing.
I mean,
it's a big difference.
No stars.
It's a big difference.
I just said, internally.
And I think the biggest key for them, which is something they failed at a lot in the recent past, is their player development, because they have so many young players that have great potential. It's what you can get out of that potential for those guys. So Kevin Knox, can he make a leap from his rookie year? He had big ups and downs in his rookie year. Mitchell Robinson was great. Can he build on that? Can RJ Barrett be an impact player? All that stuff where Dennis Smith Jr., but just all these young guys, how do you develop them, and can you make that a good young core that's attractive for other people?
I mean, we'll definitely see what they do. They're totally going to take the lumps and bumps, and the first couple of months that rhymes. But for the veterans, hopefully the veterans will be able to pull them up and just kind of show them exactly what's going on, and whoever's on their coaching staff, because everybody's got the developmental player coach now. Confuses me, but seeing what they do with them and how they put them in position to succeed, at least get them to recognize and tap into what they do best.
Yeah, and Omar, a note on your Philadelphia question. I think that, like we said, I think they're gonna be one of the favorites, but it'll probably take them a few months to gel because they're very different, like you said.
Yeah.
You got Horford and Embiid playing together, very big up front. Josh Richardson, I think, can theoretically fill in some of the shooting from Redick, but he has to do it. And of course, Jimmy Butler was kind of the fulcrum of their offense late last year.
Yeah.
He's gone. Now you go back to
give it to Embiid and get out the way.
Embiid and Simmons and all of that.
Yeah.
And of course, they gave Tobias Harris one of the biggest contracts in NBA history. So you can throw that in there as well.
Which he better step up on that. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that he was bad or underperformed last year, but. But
it's a lot of money.
That's
$180 million for 5 years for Tobias.
Can I just get $10? All I'm saying.
I mean,
tweet Tobias Harris, ask him $10.
Yeah.
Give him his $10.
That's the definition of bet on yourself, because he turned down the 5-year $80 million from the Clippers last year, and he made $100 million more the summer later. So it clearly worked out for Tobias.
I'm also excited to see Joel Embiid. I enjoy watching him every single year.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of 90s basketball watching on YouTube, and he is just such a throwback because the center position is basically null and void. It's obsolete now.
It is.
But he's a throwback.
Yeah.
He's a throwback, fast forward to fitting into today. Like I love his game. Love his game. I mean, he's a true post player that can take you out, take you in. Yeah, man, I can't wait to see what he does this year.
It's interesting because if there wasn't the rule for the 3 and the key, like, do you think the game would have changed so much? Because I feel like that has hurt centers more because the defensive and offensively, you're not able to post down there because you just throw the ball to them and just dunk it every time.
2 rules actually: defensive 3 in the key, and also the 5 seconds to the basket rule that Charles Barkley, because he did it so much.
What's the 5 second? What is the 5
closely
seconds?
guarded? You can't back down for more than 5 seconds without a violation.
Yeah.
So,
so if that was the case, man, Joel Embiid would be unfreaking stoppable in this. I mean, he kind of is right now.
Yeah.
But he would be even more unstoppable. But yeah, that I feel like has definitely changed the way the game is played. I mean, also obviously, people stepping out and taking more 3-pointers.
I was gonna say that to me is that's the
huge
style of basketball has changed altogether because
Yeah.
it's more about shooter. Like
Steph Curry pushed it.
But we might see. I mean, the Warriors, of course, are going to still play that way, but
Yeah.
we might see a little bit. It'd still be a perimeter-oriented game, but with the Sixers going big, some of these other teams going big, and the Warriors not quite the unbeatable team that they were, maybe some of these teams will focus more on the inside than going to that other. So we'll see what happens this year. It'll be interesting.
Really interesting. And then once again, we're just going back to NBA Jam style, man.
Yeah.
2 on 2, man. 2 on 2. No
All right,
subs.
quickly before we run out of time, since we're talking about NBA Jam, give me your bet. Who are your top 3 duos? Who you got as the best duos in the league?
Oh, I thought you meant from NBA Jam. I was going to say.
I'll
kill anybody with the Warriors. I'm saying Tim Hardaway and Chris Mullin. I'm killing anybody on that Sega Genesis.
I mean,
current day warrior.
We were already talking about Patrick Ewing and John Starks, NBA Jam. That'll work all day.
No, I'm killing anybody with Tim Hardaway and Chris Mullin. I'm letting you know.
Forget about Steve Kerr and Scottie Pippen, man. You don't need Jordan
because Jordan wasn't.
You don't have the rights to Jordan. Doesn't matter.
You didn't have the rights to Jordan. Not happening.
All right, NBA Jam style. In the NBA this year, who are your best duos?
I'm going to, once again, I love controversy. I'm going to go ahead number 1 with Harden and Russell Westbrook. I know they could pull it off. What it is, I don't know. But it will be very entertaining, and they're going to be absolutely awesome, I think. Obviously, Kawhi and Paul George. And I'm gonna step in with Middleton and Antetokounmpo.
Wow. All right, Omar, what do you got?
LeBron and AD, and I think no one can touch them. But if it's just the 2 of them,
You can have them.
yeah, I was like the 2 of them to me together have the most depth, and then I want to kind of go with Kawhi and Paul George as the next one. I don't know if they're going to work well together at the same position, but I guess we'll see. And if Durant was healthy, I think Durant and Kyrie would be my number 3.
Yeah, I would go number 3. I'd say Harden, Westbrook. Number 2, I'll say PG and Kawhi, and then 1, I think LeBron and Davis as a duo.
Yeah.
Although I do think the Clippers will be better and might be
I agree.
in the championship, but we got a long way to go before that. So.
I think I'm gonna just throw one more in.
Yeah.
Lou Will and because you don't leave him on the table. What are you doing? What are you doing, man?
That would be a great NBA Jam duo. Lou Will and
anybody.
Lou Will and Montrez in their pick and rolls were statistically one of the best offenses in league history. So.
Can we get that? Just online play. Let's just get it one time. Boot up the Sega Genesis.
Alright, so we'll boot up our Sega Genesis and our N64s. We'll get ready for some NBA Jam, and we'll cheers some empty glasses. At least we didn't drink out of the wrong glass. For Omar Spahi and Nican Robinson, Jesse Kass, we'll talk to you next month here on Brock's at 3 Man Week. Until then, peace.